Shall we call the meeting to order? And we'll begin with introductions. Annie, would you like to start?
I'm Annie Wood with Minnesota State University, Moorhead.
Jim Austin, City of Dover.
Sarah Watson Curry, Moorhead City Council.
Deb White, Moorhead City Council.
Brad Olson, West Fargo City Commission.
Britt Stevens, NDSU.
Paul Grinland, Valley Senior Services.
We'll begin with our first action item, July 17th meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Oh, we don't have the minutes.
Is this on? No. The minutes were not included in the packet. They were inadvertently left out.
So we will table that until our next meeting.
Yes, please.
Great, thanks, Lori. All right, our next item, proposed changes to Link FM for 2020, and Matthew Peterson, and Lori Van Beek will be presenting.
Thank you. As noted in the memo, the mayor of Fargo, in his 2020 proposal for budgets, has recommended that we not continue with Link FM, and so we wanted to make sure that we understood, that it is a public hearing is required and public comment prior to any changes in service that are considered major changes, and then also just to discuss, with you what the latest ridership and statistics, things like that are. You want to add anything about the mayor's proposals?
No, I think we're good.
So I put up some slides just to look at the statistics that are included in your memo. So Link FM ridership, Link started in 2015, just a partial year in 2015, and so this is the fourth year of Link FM, and we are actually rides per hour increasing in 2019 over 2018, but generally speaking, it's been on a decline for a couple of years now. Not a huge decline, but a slight decline. And as you may recall, we started off with free transfers between Link FM and the MAT bus system as a promotional effort to get people to ride Link FM. And then we discontinued that in 2017, and then ridership did begin to decline somewhat because of that. So in 2019, I put a special note on here about the downtown street fair, because the increase in ridership for the downtown street fair in 2019 was like 53% higher than 2018. And it was really promoted well by the downtown group and in ourselves. We had lots of promotions going on, but for special events, you can see the total event ridership has increased, and regularly as people get used to the idea of, hey, I can park over at the Mortzler Mall and take Link FM downtown for different events and not worry about parking and things like that. And then, it was started initially because of parking issues in downtown as construction began on different projects in downtown Fargo, and on the Moorhead side, hoping that more economic development and people would travel between the two downtowns for shopping and meals and things like and entertainment. So that I thought it'd be interesting to see, the average ridership by the time of day, since, initially Link FM was started to be, a place to park and go to work as well because of parking issues in downtown Fargo. You can see by the different times up on the slide that the busiest times are really from like 11 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So the busiest times are midday times when people are traveling for shopping and meals and things at lunchtime. So that's the ridership by time of day. The ones that are late in the evening were during special events when we had things open later till 10, because normally we operate from 7 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night, Monday through Friday, and then 10 to 5 on Saturday. So in the 2020 budget costs was an increase for the driver wage increase that we talked about last month. And so I just wanted you to know what the cost for Link FM is at this time. It is shared 50-50 between Fargo and Moorhead. Fargo operates it and uses their bus, but then the operating cost is shared 50-50. There is no fare box collected on Link. It's a free ride system. So in 2020's estimated budget, we have about $200,000, a little over $200,000 for the system costs. One of the things we talked about is if the decision is made to eliminate Link, I would suggest, the staff would suggest that we keep it out there for special events because it is very popular for special events. And usually that's when the parking is at the most, need. So if we do it only for special events, it's not a regular schedule, it may cost us a little bit more to operate per hour because of our First Transit contract. If it's considered special service, there's a little bit higher rate of $3.49 an hour. But if we pre-establish all of the events and dates and route, that may not occur. We just weren't sure, so we put the whole price out there. Okay, so I forgot to put the fourth table on there, but that's an important one, and that is the one that talks about what is the ridership during special events. And so, the special events that we have operated in the past are Unglued at downtown, the Celtic Festival at the Yumcomb Center, St. Patrick's Day Parade, the Drone Focus Conference, the Scandinavian Festival at the Yumcomb Center. We did have one Burgers, Brews, and Barbecue event in Moorhead at downtown, and then the street fair being the most popular. TEDx also utilizes us. German Culture Fest at the Yumcomb Center. When NDSU Homecoming was downtown, we also had special services for that. During the Holiday Lights Parade, the Pangea at the Yumcomb Center, and a Microsoft event that was downtown. So those are the events, and as you can see, there are some that are more popular than others. The Scandinavian Festival has been very popular in the street fair, TEDx. So again, we do need to hold a public hearing, but we would like to hear what you wanted to say about this. This is a service that you can make recommendations to the council and commission about. So.
Sarah? Thank you. I have two questions, one to look back and one to look forward. So looking back, I don't know if everyone serving on this commission was present when, or were part of the process when the Link FM service emerged. So I just kind of want to talk about, Laura, you already mentioned the relieving parking issues and then also introducing people to riding the bus. But can you talk a little bit about birthing this program and what the sort of mission was? I want to touch on whether we accomplished some of those goals or not.
Well, initially, Fargo broached the subject because of parking downtown. So that was a big issue. They were doing some big construction projects. Fargo City Hall, for example, they took out a lot of parking while they were building this, and then they started putting parking back in again. On the economic development side of things, there was available parking at the Moorhead Center Mall, and the mall was in favor of the Link FM as a way to promote usage of the mall. People parking there, in hopes would come in and shop there as well. And then just, hey, now that you're downtown, instead of having to move your car and worry about parking, you could just go between the different businesses. And Matt, you might have some more information on that, or Julie.
Yeah, that was basically the start of Link FM. It had been in our transit development plan for several years, looking at getting some sort of a downtown circulator. A lot of studies show that having a downtown circulator, increasing that traffic flow, allowing people to have that easy transportation in the downtown community, tends to support businesses. And so with the construction of the city hall, the reduced parking, no one really knowing for sure what was going to happen with all of that, that's how Link FM kind of came to be. It took a little bit of a turn. It really didn't get utilized as much as we thought it would for the parking for the city hall, and it kind of became more of that special event type service, lunch service. People at City Hall or in Moorhead hop on the Link, come downtown, grab lunch, go back. That's really what we saw, and so that's kind of what we're seeing with those ridership numbers between that 11 and 4 o'clock time frame.
Also, I as a shopper myself, there's 90-minute parking in downtown Fargo for the most part. And if you're going to shop the whole area and have lunch, 90 minutes goes by pretty fast. So the concept is, you could just take Link and then you don't have to worry about it. You can park an unlimited amount of time while you're shopping and go back and forth between the two downtowns. Anything I missed there, Sarah, that you thought of?
I don't think so. My forward-facing question was sort of responding to the way that Link has been used and still accommodating the special events, which definitely that would alleviate that 90-minute issue for folks too. How would you anticipate programming, or what would you recommend looking ahead at the schedule? I mean, you have a list in front of us as far as what we're popular and what we're heavy use of the Link FM, but would we, sometimes we're responding to things that are happening, in real time. So there are times that I know organizers would appreciated using the Link FM as well. So would you kind of establish, or is there a process already if people wanted to have that service available, or how rigid would we have to be if we said we're only going to do special events, but we're only going to do these specific ones? Would there be some flexibility? Would there be quarterly approval? I just kind of want to know, what would you envision that process looking like?
There is a federal charter rule that we would have to follow. And the charter rule is that it cannot be utilized for the exclusive use of a group. It has to be something open to the public and in a community event. So that's part of it. And then you would have to publish the schedule in advance. And you'd also have to make sure that it is free to the public in order for it to not be under the charter regulations. The federal charter regulations basically are that we can't be in competition with the private charter companies. So if someone would normally call a private company and make arrangements to take them between point A and point B for an event, and the event is only for that specific group, that would be charter, and this would have to be more community open, public.
It does open up some gray area.
It does.
So even if we use it for just street fair or unglued fest, we're only putting the service in service for those special events, which is targeted towards those people. So that is some gray area that I don't know. Julie, did you ever get a hold of FTA on that?
Yes, I did get a hold of FTA, and what they're recommending is, due to how confusing the regulations can be, is that we get permission from the ombudsman that is part of FTA. So there's a letter going to them to get authorization to do some of this with special events.
Yeah, the ombudsman makes those decisions that are gray areas that are difficult for people to decide if they meet charter or don't meet charter.
Sure.
Right.
And I think also would be important to note that whenever an entity wants to throw an event or have an event downtown and they want to use this service, it's not something that we can just do, because we do have to publish it well in advance. And so from a scheduling standpoint, it's not like, oh, hey, we need a Link FM service next week and can you provide that? We can't do that. So we would have to be very proactive on our schedule and what events that we're going to be doing.
So can you speak more to what that timeline would be as far as needing to advertise it? And would this board play a role at all in approving some of these, or the ones that are gray, I understand we'd have to go to the FTA?
You want to take that one?
Well, I was just going to say, in the Moorhead side of the funding, it's in a grant application. And so the state of Minnesota has to agree, in addition to the Federal Transit Administration agreeing for it to be covered with the grant. So we already have our grant in for 2020 and 2021, but we put in for the full service. So if it doesn't get fully funded, then we need to notify them and amend our contract with the state of Minnesota. So we would have to identify how much we think it will cost and in order to keep within that budget and establish a budget. So I think in advance we would need to decide, at least on the level of service. There might be some flexible hours we can put in there for events we have not considered yet, but we would still have to identify it somewhat.
And as far as scheduling, we would need probably at least 2 months' notice so that we can get proper notices, information out to the public. The more notice we have, the better. I think technically we only need 2 weeks, but we always try and do it at least 60 days in advance, just because with deadlines with newspapers and things like that, it's really important for us to dot our I's and cross our T's on those types of things. We don't ever want to see it show up on an audit. So.
Question?
Yes, I have a question. In your first paragraph here, says that the mayor of Fargo proposed in the 2020 budget to eliminate the circular service. The budgets have all been approved, have they not?
The City of Fargo budget has been approved, yes.
So it's been eliminated?
As of right now, yes. So in the City of Fargo, our budget that was approved does not have funding for Link FM for 2020. With that being said, there is a process we do have to follow according to FTA where we have to go through public hearings and all of that stuff. So whether or not that changes and it changes any of our city council's minds, I couldn't tell you, but as of right now, that route is not funded for 2020, to my knowledge.
And is it funded for any special events?
It is not.
Madam Chair, is there any other sources of revenue that you could tap into? I mean, is there support for this from the parking authorities or any downtown business groups that would want to give you some more support that might help you leverage funds from the cities?
Yeah, so there's a lot of support for it. Again, that's what that public hearing is going to be for, is for those groups to come forward and explain why they feel that Link FM would be important and they would want to keep it, and ask the city to make a budget amendment for that. But that's, I mean, you know, that's kind of where we're at with that whole thing. Is ultimately the city of Fargo, the city commission for Fargo, has opted to eliminate that item from our budget right now.
Other questions or comments? And so for action, you're asking us to consider holding a public hearing to consider whether we would drop the current loop, right?
Yeah, we are asking for a public hearing, and it's up to you, but, you know, our recommendation is that we do establish some special event service with Link FM continuing at some level. So in the public hearing, we would have to identify what we are continuing with versus what we're eliminating.
So a motion to hold a public hearing to consider whether to limit Link FM to just special events. Is there a motion?
I'll make one.
Is there a second? Okay.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Is the public hearing with us or with the Fargo City Commission, since they're the ones eliminating the funding?
It would actually be City of Fargo and City of Moorhead. Since the route is operates on both sides, we would have to hold one at both City Council in Moorhead and City Commission in Fargo.
So I assume that then this would go back to each of the council and commission, and then it would schedule it.
Yes.
Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Motion carries. Okay, our next item, item 2C, approve request proposals for security services 2020 to 2025, and Julie will be presenting.
Thank you. My apologies, I was out last week unexpectedly a little bit and did not get a memo to you folks, but bottom line is our security contract is going to run out at the end of this year. And currently we have Sentry Security. They do 44 hours of security at the Ground Transportation Center. And we vary that. We don't have any set schedule deliberately because we don't want to establish patterns. But the one thing we do have is that the security services will have someone there at the end of shift and closure of GTC so that that individual is not left there alone and they escort them to their vehicles. So we want to go back out again for bids and put an RFP on the street to get those services. The additional service they provide is they transport money. So when we have deposits going from the GTC and the Metro Transit garage, which is where the fare boxes are dumped, all that has to be transported by a firm that is bonded and licensed to do that, so to take them to the banks. So we're just looking for your authorization to go ahead and get started on the process and get our people together and put it out on the street to get another 5-year contract in place. Excuse me.
Sarah?
Thank you. Julie, is a 5-year period what we've been traditionally?
Right.
Okay.
Yes,
I was just curious if that's a continuation of a time period we were usually committing to. Is there any sort of input or opportunity for the drivers and the GTC staff to weigh in as far as just input from the security firms as things to look for, or what's most beneficial from their services?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, our dispatchers have a lot of interaction with the staff down there when the security company is in there, In addition, Fargo PD, we've been working quite closely with them, and the city of Fargo did fund a half-time officer for the GTC, and then a half-time officer for the library. So we will get access to an actual police officer being in and out of there quite a bit as well. So that will be very beneficial to have. So when we have input from staff, and we of course track all the incidents and such, we want to make sure that ours is a unique situation because we've got drivers on the buses out all over town, every one of our towns, and we've got, there's passengers that need attention more so than others, and we want to be able to provide as much as we can for tools for those folks to work with. So we will be soliciting information from our contractor who has the dispatchers down there. Hope that answered that.
Yep,
Sarah.
thank you.
Okay.
Are there other questions or comments?
Are you anticipating this similar number of hours in the contract?
That's what that's what we budgeted for, so yes.
Other questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve the RFP for security services for 2020 to 2025?
I'll motion to approve the RFP process.
Second? We have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Motion carries. Okay. Our next item, recommend price proposals for Gen Fare for upgrade to fare box systems, and we have Matt and Lori again.
So our current fare box system was purchased back in 2000, well, the RP was done in 2008, implementation 2009, with roughly a 10-year life expectancy. The fare box system that we have on board all of our fixed route vehicles is what takes cash payments from passengers who are boarding and then any fare media. So if they have a 30-day pass, a 10-ride pass, anything like that, and it tracks all of the ridership by route, which we have to use for reports for NTD and FTA and all those fun acronyms that we have. So we're coming up to end of life for them technically in 2019 here. And so we did budget for upgrading the new fare box system. We could go out for a full RFP process, completely rip out the guts and throw twice as much money into the system, or we could use a lot of our current infrastructure, the parts that we have, and just upgrade the current system that we have, which is based on about a 20-year-old program, to the new fare box, the fast fares that Gen Fare offers. And so City of Moorhead, City of Fargo, we went through a process with NDDOT, MnDOT, FTA to get sole source procurement approved, which we did. And so we're here today to kind of go over the prices that we received from Gen Fare for this upgrade. It does fall pretty borderline with what we have in place for grant and local share on both sides of the river. There are a couple items that we will probably be cutting just because it will go over the amount that we need. So if you look on the back side of the memo, I'm assuming yours are double-sided. So the very first column, the Gen Fare price proposal, that's all in across the system, City of Fargo, City of Moorhead. Because of our cost-sharing formulas that we do between the two cities and being housed under one roof, that's where the other two columns come in, the Fargo cost versus the Moorhead cost. Each total that you see under the fixed route, the paratransit, the point of sale add-on, the security smart cards, and the TVMs or the ticket vending machines, those are cumulative totals. So we have to have the one above it before the second one comes into play, with the exception of the smart cards. I was just lazy and didn't move it up. So on the fixed route side of things, Fargo would be looking at purchasing 31 fare boxes. The new Fast Fare E's would also include the mobile ticketing option, so passengers would be able to purchase mobile tickets, use their smartphones. They would scan right in on the fare box. It's a new higher security system for the MiFi card instead of Classic. It's a better security system, I guess. And then also there is a Link software that we're looking at doing. The Link software, not to be confused with Link FM, caught myself doing that a few times. The Link software is a cloud-based program that GenFare offers, which will actually wirelessly connect to all of our fare boxes. And when someone reloads their pass, like their actual smart pass, when they use it on the fare box the next time, it will upload for them. If they go to use it and it's expired, it will automatically charge their card on file if they've chosen for that option, so that they don't get denied a ride or they have to waste time going in and spending money. So it's a pretty neat system. It's a couple years old. There are some organizations throughout the United States that have been using it, and it's gotten fairly good reviews for the most part. Moving down that list, a lot of that is just extra pieces that we need. Again, we're going with an upgrade, so we do have to upgrade some of our parts, but a lot of the parts that we have are interchangeable. A lot of the wiring that we have currently with our server, our database server, the wiring, the Wi-Fi system, that stuff is already integrated into our building, and so why spend an extra $250,000 on replacing that? Moving into the paratransit fleet, what we're looking at doing there is currently on our paratransit fleet, people purchase coupon books. So we spend a pretty decent amount of money every year having little coupon books printed up that has a ticket on it, and they can rip their ticket off and hand it to the driver. Well, if they want to get on and pay cash, they hand that cash to the driver. That driver is then responsible for that cash, has to balance that cash, has to make sure that cash comes back to us. Then our staff has to count that cash. Our staff has to count those coupon books, keep that inventory. So what we're looking at doing is taking the old fare boxes that we have on our fixed route system, and we can add a Fast Fare E, which is a small little box, and make them compatible with the new fare box system and allow passengers to use a smart card on board our fare box. And then we also have a cash box so that the drivers are no longer handling cash, and neither is our staff. That process is all being done the same we do it on fixed route, which to us is a pretty big win, to be able to do it for the cost that we're doing on paratransit, since we can use those same fare boxes, move them over and pay a smaller upgrade fee for that. It really helps the operation and the security. The point of sale add-on, you can pretend that's not there. We're not huge in favor of that. We are going to take a look at it. It is an option out there that we may end up purchasing, but we do have our own internal process that we have really refined so that we can track passengers who are purchasing fare media passes, and if they lose them, we have information so that we can replace them. And so we're not saying no to it. We're going to look at it, but that is an option for us. And then, of course, the extra inventory for the smart cards. The ticket vending machine is pretty neat. It's like an ATM machine that people can walk up to, and they can tap their phone and pay for their fare, or they can swipe their credit card or put cash in it, and it'll give them a fare media card. The machine itself only costs about $60,000. The software is about $120,000. So that's the first one to go, which is why it's on the very bottom. So that's kind of the update for that. You can see that the percentages are broken out. Our percentages for fixed route and paratransit are slightly different. The percentages for everything below the paratransit fleet is really a copy paste. It's kind of an estimate for this one right now. We would have to dig into that a little bit more, but sorry. Lori, did I miss anything?
No. On the Moorhead side, we have $318,000 budgeted for this project. It's all federal and state money. There is no local dollars. The state is making the local match for us. So, if we don't buy the ticket vending machine, we should be within budget, which is good. And we have about $57,000 in inventory of parts for our fare boxes right now in inventory. So most of those parts then can be utilized in the new fare box. And if we put the old fare boxes in paratransit, then we can use those parts in addition. So that's nice that we don't lose that. And our current smart cards that we have will work with the new system as well. And so, it's nice to have. We don't have to retrain, too many people and all that. Some of the equipment in here that's listed also is a simulator for the maintenance staff where they can just plug in to the fare box, and it'll tell them what's wrong with the fare box for fixing it. And we have one of those now. We have to upgrade that, but it's really nice for maintenance purposes. It just tells them what piece needs to be replaced. So that's nice to have. That's happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
Thank you. So staying with the same company with GenFair, and the top column under the fixed route fleet, there's no dollars for training, maintenance training, or operating training. Is that due to the nature of it being the same software, and you're already
That's
information
two
to
things.
staff?
So they throw that in with the cost of the implementation of the new fare boxes, if you will. So because we're purchasing so many fare boxes, we don't have to pay for that. They come on site, and that's all part of their base proposal or their base package when you set up their new system. So they do the first time for free. And then there is a service fee that we can pay, which we currently do pay every year, which includes some of that training.
So it's not a train the trainer. There's somebody contracted specifically with this company to do the maintenance?
Yes, this company has actual people, technicians on hand. And so what we have done in the past, there's a couple different types of training. The most of the training is done on the maintenance side. The driver training and the operation and the admin side is pretty simple because it's software. But as far as the hardware piece for the maintenance guys, they'll actually have someone from GenFair come out and do like a full day training session, and we've done that in the past. Other agencies in North Dakota, such as Bismarck and Minot, have had GFI bring technicians in. And then they've invited our staff to come up and do that as well. So we've kind of shared a lot of that training costs. So it is not part of this initial, so there is no maintenance or training costs. I totally beat that up, I'm sorry. I hope that made sense. Jordan, did that make sense? I mean, so they're trying to share those resources because it is very costly to have them come in and do like those one-day full seminars. So they try and get as many agencies in the area that can drive to help share in that cost. And that's a little bit more in-depth training.
Okay. I just couldn't imagine there not needing to be some sort of maintenance and other things too. So to know that it's kind of all pooled in there already is helpful.
Right, yeah, and then there is a line item in there for the install, so it actually takes the burden off of our staff, and they will send a team to come in and install all of these. For the cost, we just couldn't beat it, to take that burden off of our staff.
The nice thing about having the old and the new in the fleet being able to be upgraded rather than completely replaced is that as they bring the buses in and install the new fare boxes, the other ones could stay on the road and still be tallying rides and working. So we don't have to try to do it all in the evening or on a Sunday and try to do it so fast that they're not doing it properly. So that's a really nice thing about upgrade.
A question about the ticket vending machine. So I understand right now we're looking at cutting it from the budget because it'll help us stay within budget. But long term, would that be something that could be added back in later? And I just know from, they're commonplace in other cities, and it has a big impact on ease of use and, being able to just go up to it, check what your balance is, and add things, and it might increase ridership having those. So are we looking at perhaps phasing them in eventually? Is that something that would be feasible?
Yes, the ticket vending machines are really easy to add on since all they do is connect right back to the database that we already have. And so the thing with that is the more you purchase, the cheaper per item it is because of that. The software package is just X number of dollars, and it's outright. I mean, it's expensive. It's $120,000. The machine itself is only about $60,000. So the more machines I buy, they use the same software package, if that makes sense. So at this point, just purchasing one and spending about $200,000 on it just wasn't really within our scope. However, in the future, as grants become available and things like that, we can certainly add them in, and it's all right there. The infrastructure will be there.
Mm-hmm. I also think that with mobile ticketing, the need for the ticket vending machine will be less because people can buy them on their phone. And so I think there will be less of a demand for those. And in a lot of the communities now, the mobile ticketing hasn't been implemented yet. But as they do implement that, the need for the ticket vending machine will decrease.
Other questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve staff, their recommendation to move forward with the GFI fare box upgrade and place required information on city council and commissions?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll move on to our informational items, and Joseph Rivera has an update on driver recruitment.
this morning?
Fine, thanks.
Good. So since August 1st, I'm not sure if you have the memorandum here, but we've had 103 new applicants in various stages of the hiring pool. 16 have been hired as of the 27th. We have one additional class. We're anticipating we'll do classes at least twice a month. So as of right now, we have approximately, I think, 10 to 11 open jobs and 9 people that are currently in the pipeline. So it's been tremendously busy. We're making our service demands, which is good. I think for the first time, probably in a long time, we'll have an actual spare board, so a sort of reserve of operators. So,
Questions, comments? I'll just say it was exciting to see, and I think, you know, obviously this has been a topic of discussion at a few different meetings, and so to see the, you know, larger pool of individuals being recruited. Is there any other things regarding retention too that are happening? I know obviously one of the big things we talked about is, you know, increasing the salary that we're providing to be more competitive. So do you feel we're making some, you know, legway in that area too?
we can be a little more selective during the hiring process as well. So instead of hiring people who are just simply in need of a job, we're hiring people who are actually skilled professionals who have the experience already. So it's been a great benefit. So thank you.
See. All right, thank you. Okay, next is an update on Tap Ride in the industrial park service from Matt.
Sorry, we have to get better with putting us all in, like, you know, chunks of people so we're not up and down.
It's your morning exercise. You can
Right, I know, it's a lot. It's like up, down, that's all right. Okay, so as you all know, we did implement the industrial park tap ride service on August 5th. Wanted to give you guys a quick update for that. I did present yesterday morning at Eggs and Issues, Double Tree in West Fargo, I think is where it was at, with United Way. So that was very interesting, never done one of those before. Long story short, with the industrial park service, we have completed, this is actually updated through 9/26. And the bottom there where it says as of September 9, that should be 26. I missed that one, I apologize. But as of September 26, we have completed 515 rides on that service, either to or from the industrial park, which, considering we haven't had service up there for a little over 20 years, almost 30 years, I think is pretty good, in all honesty. The flag down rides, just to explain that 145 is part of that 515. What that is if someone sees that bus somewhere and they don't have their phone or they haven't had a chance to do it, and they're like, hey driver, I need you. That's literally what it is. It's like, dude, come get me, right? So that's what the flag down is. So I just like to make that clarification in there, because we do treat it as much like a fixed route as we possibly can. So it's not that you have to get on there and schedule your ride or book your ride on the app, but if you see the driver sitting at West Acres or you see the driver at Whale Wash or in the industrial park, you can flag him down, he'll stop, he'll pick you up, he'll put the ride in for you, and he'll get you to where you need to go. So we have completed, so we've only used one person in a wheelchair has used it, and then we've had 11 bikes. So it's kind of interesting since we used a cutaway vehicle on that. The wheelchair, obviously, it's designed for that, but we did add a bike rack on the front of our cutaway so that we can transport bikes. So that was really good. And then the average response time, as you can see, the requested pickup time, typically less than 8 minutes. On board the vehicle, less than 8 minutes. That's better than just about any service we have in town, if you think about it. So we do see those numbers slowly creeping up. We do want to see those that ride per hour around that 10 mark by the end of 2020 is what we're hoping for. United Way is still out there pushing the information to the industrial park. I actually had a call yesterday from a business in the industrial park asking for information on the app, and so it's being very well received by the community. West Fargo has asked, West Fargo Industrial Park yesterday at Eggs and Issues, and I apologize, Mr. Olson, but I made the comment that they need to talk to the right people, and he asked who that was, and I said West Fargo City Commission, so you might be getting a call. So just so you're aware.
Noted.
Yep. But it is a good service. It's been going very well. Any questions?
Questions? I just have a comment. I think this is an awesome addition, to the robust service that we offer. So I really appreciate the partnership that brought this together. And I think, especially as we just talked about Link FM, is how that was innovative and promoted transit. This promotes transit in a very different way and in a really needed way too. So it's having gone up and down that corridor before, I know how transportation is such a critical piece for folks that are trying to get to a job. So I just think that this is awesome, and I'm really excited to continue to explore the top ride. And hey, we're the right people in Moorhead if anyone ever wants to talk to us about it.
No problem, I will let them know.
We'll be ready for them. But I just want to say thanks for the partnership, and it's awesome to see how successful it's already been.
Yeah, I agree with you. We're pretty excited. I was surprised to see the numbers come in the way they are.
And hey,
I mean, they're low by
Hey,
standards,
dude, pick
but
me up would be a good T-shirt.
huh?
Hey, dude, pick me up. That'd be a good T-shirt.
Yeah, there you go. All right, thank you.
Great. Okay, our next item, updates on Transit Authority study by Michael Maddox. Michael's has had it easy so far this morning.
By design. So I'll just give a really brief update on the Transit Authority study. As you know, we're looking at, the study is looking at the possibility of moving MapBus into some kind of different organizational structure than it is, but also simultaneously looking at how the funding is going to be impacted by the change of this area going into a transportation management area, which is an area over 200,000 in population within the urbanized area boundary. And that will likely occur after the 2020 census, as long as the transportation authorization legislation that will occur like in 2021 doesn't change that threshold. So we're going through that effort right now. However, we're a little bit on hold. MetroCog has slowed down a number of projects just for some end-of-year budgeting reasons. This happens to be one of them. We thought that this project was a good time to maybe slow down and circle back and get some more feedback. We have been holding a number of SRC meetings where in the last one we did a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. However, we know that there are more comments and issues out there than what have come up, and so we're going to circle back and do a stakeholder engagement and talk with each of the jurisdictions and each of technical staff and city management and city leadership individually to just ferret out some of those things that have been circling around for a number of years and what the issues are and how can we address that during the study. So right now we're formulating a way in order to do those stakeholder engagements. And so it's a lot of the tasks that are moving forward as an organizational point of view are a little bit on pause until we can get those issues addressed. So any other questions on the Transit Authority study?
Do you have a timeline on those stakeholder meetings?
We have not had them scheduled. I just met with our consultant 2 Fridays ago while I was down in the cities, and we formulated an approach. We're bringing in a person who was actually the project manager of our last TDP, Bill Troe. He's in the SRF Omaha office, and he's going to be leading that stakeholder engagement area. He does have, since he was involved in the last TDP, he does have some particular formal information or that he's gathered and knows about our system and knows the players involved. So this microphone is short.
For some, not for all. Any other questions or comments? All right.
Thank you very
Michael.
much.
Okay, moving on, we have Julie who has an update on the GTC renovation.
Thank you. Hello again. I just wanted to give a little update on our ground transportation center renovation, there are many moving parts in this project, so I think it helps just to kind of meld it down into one two-page memo, thanks to our consultant that's working on it, KLJ. What we have determined is that we are breaking the project up into 3 separate and distinct projects. However, they will be bid together and done through KLJ. There'll be oversight on the whole thing. So the first part of it is going to be the main renovation above grade, as we call it. So it'll be the building that you see. It'll be the deck. We're reconfiguring the deck so that the buses, instead of coming in and backing out of their stanchions like they do now, they'll flow through, stop, and continue on. So there will be no turn. There'll be a little bit of turning movement, but there will be no backing up. So that will, in our opinion, definitely help with safety in the area. Up to this point, the KLJ has done 60% of the design work that we need in order to bid the project out. So what we want to do is go with the GTC Jefferson, and we've got the GTC Renovation. So I'm sorry, the above grade for the rest of it. Jefferson is actually inside the building. They're renting a space from us right now. Before, if any of you recall, they were in the building that's currently the Fargo Municipal Court building. However, we've pared down the space, and they're going to be just fine with what we do. So that's the second part of the project. However, in phasing, that will be the first thing that's done, so we can get them located in their spot, and then we can get everything else done around them. We are going to be doing quite a bit inside the building. It was built in 1984. It needs a great deal of work, stuff that you will see and stuff that you won't see. The HVAC system is being completely renovated, and believe me, it needs it. We will be having office space down there that we currently do not have. We will have a driver's lounge that we currently do have. We will be relocating our dispatch to be more in the southeast corner of the building so that visibility is as though I'm standing here and I can see all around. We're currently there back from the window, so their visibility isn't what it should be. The camera system we have down there is excellent, but it does not replace someone standing there and being able to turn their head and see what's going on. So we're trying to improve safety as much as possible for pedestrians and drivers as well, of course. So we have one item that was discovered that actually occurred after assessment of the building. One of the post-tension bands snapped within the deck itself. Now, believe me, I'm no engineer, but as it's explained to me, they did go down, they did some borings, they went into the area where the breakage occurred and determined that structurally it did not impact the way the deck is, and that we did not have to excavate everything and then go in and fix all of that. So the building is still sound. So the third part of the project is the underground parking facility, and that's being funded by the city of Fargo completely out of local funds. So that doesn't have anything to do with grants or anything else, as the first 2 parts of the project do. To date, KLJ is about 30% finished with the design of the underground parking. They do have several structural issues down there. If you've ever been down there, you would notice that there is a lot of water stainage, and anytime there's rain or snow melt, you can see the water just rolling down the couple of walls down there. All of that will be fixed during this phase with the underground parking. Again, a lot of stuff that you won't see, but that definitely needs to be done. So they have come up with a strategy to do that. And all of this is going to be bid out, and the new project timeline on this is to issue the final design mid-November and then bid the project as one instead of 3 separate. That will be going out around middle of December. So construction, we anticipate, will be done by September of 2020. So we want everything said and done, everything new, open, ready to go. So we'll be phasing as we go. You know, it's a work in progress around everybody that's there, but it's going to be well worth it. 2004 was the last time we had any type of an upgrade, and it's definitely well past time to do it. So anyway, I just want to give you guys an update on that, and happy to answer any questions if you have them. Next time I'll bring exciting pictures when we're down to a little bit more of the design firm up. So do you have any questions? Happy to answer them.
Sarah?
Thank you. Thanks, Julie.
Sure.
For the underground parking, can you just speak to who it's being designed to accommodate? Like, is it going to change as far as who's utilizing it now?
Sure. Currently, it is being utilized by people that are employed downtown, or some of them that are living downtown, and they rent the spots. So what happened during the transition phase, Federal Transit Administration, actually funded building the parking facility and the above-ground facility. During this whole process, the Federal Transit Administration has relinquished control to the parking authority here in Fargo. So they're the ones that are spearheading it. They'll be the ones that are doing it. And it will be open to the public for parking. So it's part of our building, but it's not really part of what we provide for the service. So it's all parking authority.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, thanks.
Other questions or comments? No, thank you, Julie, for the update.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it looks like we have some exciting news for our next item. Sean Crowell, our mobility manager, has received a Distinguished Service Award from Freedom Resources Center for Independent Living. Is Sean present? Great, Sean, you just stand up, and I don't know if we have anything else to, yes, but congratulating Sean. Sean, thank you so much. If you want to come up for a second. I think we should take a moment to just thank you for your good work, and we're glad that it's been recognized.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Back on September 17th, the Freedom Resource Center had an awards ceremony, and they seen fit to honor me with that Distinguished Service Award, so I do appreciate that. I guess it's in recognition of efforts made with the travel training workshop and also other outreach I've done with Freedom Resource Center. So I give them the tools, but they do a lot of the hard work, so but I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, we really appreciate your work, and it's such an important part of our community. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, we have the July to August 2019 Operations Report and College Ridership. Matt and Lori.
So we have July and August ridership data in front of you. And looking at July, in Moorhead's fixed route, ridership was up 10% from 2018. We had a few more revenue hours as well. It just depends on what days our weekends fall on, you know. On-time performance was slightly up as well. We're glad to see that. In August, ridership was down 1.5%. Hopefully that'll pick up now with the college students in town. You know, that's the way the fixed routes are going for August. I did want to mention on the college ridership that it does appear, you know, for the fiscal year 2018-19, that ridership on the college routes was down 10% across the board. Concordia was up 1%, M-State down 1%, MSUM down 30%, NDSU down 9%, and NDSCS down 32%. And then we began the new academic year for the 2019-20, and ridership is down considerably. It's starting in August. I think college actually started a little later in August as well.
It did. Colleges started a week late this year, so that likely has to do with some of the lower ridership. College is pretty heavy ridership, so.
I do think, I was talking with Taryn, our marketing specialist, and we do think it is time to do a college survey. working with the colleges to see, what are the impressions of the students and why they are or not riding it, and work our promotions around some of those survey answers to find some solutions to increase ridership more. Maybe getting on campus and doing some special field trips with the RAs, and just getting it more out front for them to understand and how it can benefit them. So I'll let you do Fargo.
So yeah, I mean, pretty much same story in Fargo, I guess. I did include the charts on here so that you guys can take a look. It's a little bit easier sometimes instead of looking at a page full of numbers. Overall, our ridership is slightly down for August. We've been teetering right around that 2 million mark for a couple of years now, so hopefully that will start to go up here this fall, but we really won't know until we get through them. On-time performance as a whole has been moving up, which is great. Our complaints and our collisions are also starting to be reduced. A large part of that, like Joseph or Mr. Rivera was saying, now that they're able to have a little bit larger pool of candidates to select from, they're able to find some people with some customer service and some safety type experience. Thank you. And so that's starting to help. So that's kind of where we're at as far as operations go. Nope.
No.
Questions?
Questions, comments? Well, I'll mention as somebody who also, one of my other hats is as a professor at one of the universities, and looking at the numbers, we've seen enrollment declines, but these don't match what we see in terms of changes in our enrollment. And so obviously there's, some other factors that may be coming into play. And I was thinking that in Moorhead, we've seen with some of the route changes, we've seen increase in ridership, right? But then we have this big drop amongst the college students, particularly at a few of the institutions. And so I do agree. I think another education campaign. I don't know if Annie has any other suggestions, but maybe getting the word out about some of the new options that we have too, or I don't know if you have any other ideas on what other things we could be doing to work to promote ridership among our college students.
Taryn had some really good ideas on finding influential students to be able to tell their story and help us encourage people as well. So yeah, she's got some ideas, but we would like to pull together the colleges together in a room and just discuss it, come up with a survey that asks questions that we both want answers to, just to find out what's changing and how we might adapt to those changes.
I think it'd be great to work together. I think one of the things we're seeing is that our students, the number of students who are bringing cars is fluctuating, and so trying to figure out exactly where they need to go and if the bus routes are bringing them there. I know I have student employees who rely on the bus to get to work, but if it's nice out, they prefer biking because then they're a little more in control of their schedule and some of those things. So it'll be interesting to see, depending on how the weather goes this fall and into the winter. We typically try to do some kind of educational campaign kind of as it starts getting snowy at MSUM, but I know we just kind of where our students are living might be different, and so if they're trying to get to campus from somewhere versus students who are living on campus trying to get into the community, we might need to learn a little bit more about that from them.
I also think that as the construction projects are completed, that they'll be more reliable, the routes are more reliable. We do find that, between the bridges being down, crossing the tracks more often, that we have had more unreliable trips where there's a train or the traffic is backed up because there's only one bridge going at a time, that as those projects close up and it should improve the on-time performance, which will increase ridership. I mean, people make their choices. Can we get to where we need to get on time? And if they can't get there on time, they make other choices. So we can't control construction season, but we're hoping it's going to be done in November and it'll be a good winter.
One suggestion too would be having the campuses communicate with each other, because when I look at this, for instance, I'm comparing Concordia to MSUM. Concordia, which has had a larger decline in enrollment, actually has an increase in ridership. compared to MSUM. And so what are they doing that seems to be working well? It would be great to chat with them to find out, because clearly if there's construction, I mean, they're only on the other side of 8th Street, so they're impacted in the same way, but they're not, they're actually seeing growth rather than decline. So it'd be nice to see what they're doing that's, helping to increase ridership.
Yeah, and I believe Concordia has made a pretty strong effort to promote it within to their students, and because they were on a decline a couple of years ago, and then they stepped up and did a lot of more training and education. So it does benefit from that. The ridership does.
Great. Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you. Moving on, we have the distribution of new schedule and map for August 2019. Cole Swingen.
So this one should be pretty short and sweet. In August, we distributed our new version of our system maps and timetables. With that, we just included some updated information. There weren't any major system changes this year. This year we produced 20,000 maps, which is down pretty significantly from last year's 35,000. We attributed this mainly to increase in usage of our mobile app as well as our website. A couple of changes that we did with this map: we added a section to include information about the Tapride Industrial Park service, as well as Jefferson Line's new location in the GTC. A couple other things that we added were additional designated bus stops that have been created since last year's system map. And we adjusted some of the schedules that we had for each route to include fewer or more time points based on the route's length. And we adjusted some of the time points to help the routes run more efficiently. And then these maps were distributed to many local organizations and businesses around the city, as well as they were distributed during the NDSU back to school days and provided to every dorm mailbox at the MSUM campus. We also have maps at our ground transportation center to show the new changes, and we also have those maps displayed there. Any questions?
Questions, comments? All right, thank you. And Cole, you must have had some say over the agenda because you got your 2 items right together. So our last informational item is update on marketing activities.
Yep. We are currently in our iGo Eco Challenge. This is the 9th year I've been doing this. It's basically the same idea as it's always been. We want to encourage citizens of the Fargo-Moorhead community to take eco-friendly modes of transportation, whether it be walking, biking, rollerblading, or riding map bus. With that, they can log their trips online and be entered in to win weekly prizes. This year's prizes included an Apple TV, Apple AirPods, an Apple Watch, and electric scooter that were all provided by the Absolute Marketing Group, as well as a grand prize of a $1,000 Visa gift card provided by Gate City Bank. With that, we're promoting iGo Eco through a very wide variety of channels, including radio ads, radio remotes at the Ground Transportation Center, digital ads through Facebook, YouTube, and on the web, digital billboard in Moorhead, direct mailing to quite a few FM area businesses that contained a poster and a letter explaining about the challenge. We also had flyers that were distributed at all of our back-to-school events, as well as internal advertising through bus posters, displays of the GTC, and ad handles in Moorhead vehicles. On September 23rd, there were 200 total registrants, and at the time, participation was at 88%. I believe we're up to just under 240 now. A couple weeks ago, we finished up our back-to-school campaign. We had staff at various college locations trying to push that ridership to college students, and focusing on our MapBus app, the Tapride service at NDSU, and Google Maps trip planning. With that, we promoted it through radio ads, radio remotes, on-campus giveaways, various prizes that were provided by Midwest Radio, digital ads on Facebook, YouTube, and the web, as well as we staffed booths at each of these events so we could answer questions for all the students. And we also had a booth at the Bridge Bash a couple weeks ago, which we answered questions about riding map bus for school, as well as promoting our iGo Eco Challenge. And as it was said before, overall college ridership sadly has been down. Coming up in a couple weeks, we have Try Map Bus Week from October 21st through the 26th. We just want to do that to encourage new riders to try out Map Bus and see what it's like by offering half fare rides on Monday through Friday, and then fare free after 3 p.m. on Friday and on Saturday as well. During this event, we're also celebrating Customer Appreciation Day on Monday and Team Appreciation Day on that Thursday. This will also be the first opportunity that we've had to distribute our new Rider ID and Map Pass cards to all of our riders. With that, staff will be present to answer any questions that they have and transition them through that process. We'll be promoting the event through radio ads, a couple of print advertising options, social media, and then we'll be having a couple of events at the GTC, including that Customer Appreciation Day, where we'll have popcorn and water, as well as Warm Up Wednesday, which will provide hot drinks to our riders. And looking forward, Halloween's coming up. With that, we'll be distributing candy for our riders. Bus operators will be able to wear costumes as long as it doesn't obscure their face or affect driving in any way. We also have our winter promotion coming up, promoting the fact that Map Bus is a good alternative option against hazardous road conditions, cold cars, and various car maintenance issues that come with winter. With that, we'll be promoting it through radio ads, social media, and bus posters. We also have the Pangea event coming up at the Comp Center. It's one of Moorhead's key events for Link FM service. And with that, there'll be an additional bus on the route, as well as extended service hours. And then our final major event for the year is Quarter Days. With that, passengers can ride Map Bus for only 25 cents on key holiday shopping days. They'll start on Black Friday and November 29th and continue each Saturday until the end of 2019. I'll be promoting Map Bus ridership to alleviate that holiday traffic. And with that, I'll be promoting it through radio ads, social media, bus posters, a social media video, billboards, and a couple of print advertisements.
Questions or comments? I would love to see photos of the drivers in some of their costumes.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to have a costume contest this
I
year.
think so. I think that would be really fun. All right. And I don't believe we have any other business. Okay, and so thank you to our staff, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you.